Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Joe Gould. I'm here with Adam Winters, and we are reviewing, discussing, annihilating Mortal Kombat Annihilation from 1997, direct sequel from the 95 film, late 95.
Boy, they took everything they learned on the previous movie. They applied it to this.
Yeah, sometimes your first stab at something is better because you're just going off instincts, and when you actually try to recreate your success or recreate whatever you did, it just doesn't turn out the same way.
Different director, right?
Yeah, different director, mostly different cast.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah,
Almost twice the budget, right?
I think so. This budget was $30 million. I can't recall off the top of my head what the first one was, but yeah, I want to say it was 15 or so.
Yeah, somewhere between 15 and 20 probably. I had heard this one might have been as expensive as 40 million. Maybe that's part of marketing, something like that.
That's possible. It's possible. But it is based largely off the 1995 video game Mortal Kombat 3. It was somewhat rushed.
Oh.
Well, somewhat, it's not the right word. It was rushed.
Well, yeah, 2 years later, that's a quick turnaround in pretty much any Hollywood production.
And depending on whose story you believe, this movie, it didn't sound like it was ever going to be good, but it's worse than it could have been, or worse than it should have been, based off of rushed post-production as well. And, you can't underestimate how much you need your pre-production. Get your ideas good. It's hard to fix a bad idea.
Well, I mean, if the idea was adapt the plot of a video game, that worked the first time.
Yeah, but they also kept it simple the first time. And in this one, the producer, Kazanoff, man, he wanted to please every video gamer. And there's so much going on in this movie. He wanted 3 times the spectacle, he said.
Okay, 3 times.
But only twice the budget.
Boy, the spectacle. All that CGI that I loved from the first Mortal Kombat movie, it's back. It is 3 times the CGI. I'll tell you that.
I feel like I was watching N64 background fog the whole movie. It was just so pixelated. And I couldn't decide if it looked worse because we're on modern televisions. And it's the kind of thing where, like, the more HD it gets, the worse it gets. Or if it really did look that bad at the time.
Well, there are several frames where characters just pop in and out of the screen. They don't naturally pan for perspective. They're just there, boom, and they're not. And it looks like instead of just putting filters over the background to get the sky purple color, it looks like they did a whole green screen behind every character.
Yeah, the green screen is also atrocious. Like, at certain points, it almost seems like there's a green or a white outline surrounding the character or whatever room they're in. It's like the green screen didn't quite connect to the skin, so to speak.
Yeah. Where to even begin picking this movie apart? Yeah. Where to begin? Story? Do we have any more background info?
Well, one more thing about the special effects. They are literally unfinished. They were working on it from multiple countries using the T1 lines by Sprint. And they just didn't finish the effects. But the studio deemed it was, quote, good enough.
Good enough. Yeah.
For the test screenings they did, they went well enough where they felt it was more important to get it released on time and coinciding with the game for box office.
So like a lot of these video game movies, it existed when it existed because it had to exist.
Seems to be.
You just got to put it out right then.
Yeah. So, where to begin? So, maybe we should start at the end of the last movie.
Okay, they wrote themselves into a little bit of a corner there. You go ahead.
Well, what I was going to point out was most of this movie is recast.
All but 2, right?
Yeah, well, 3 technically. And it's even more awkward of the recasting because the movie picks up literally a moment after the first movie.
Not perfectly, though.
No, not perfectly. And they even throw in clips where you see some of the characters. And so you have the changing of the cast immediately. And you also have what I think is a slightly different Emperor emerging character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's very different.
So if I remember correctly, in the first one, you have a giant Emperor head sticking out of the castle or the temple, right? Or the portal above the temple.
Yeah, and they never say the name Shao Kahn in the first movie. You could piece together it's him, but it doesn't have to be. But he comes across as much more godlike than this movie. In fact, he's very much ungodlike through most of this movie.
Very unimpressive. It's like if
that's another problem.
He-Man has a bad day, kind of how he comes across. So this movie opens up and you got all these portals popping up in the sky, and basically all the Emperor's minions are coming through.
That's a lot of them.
Are we introduced to Queen Sindel at this point, or is that a few minutes later?
Well, it's in the same scene where all his minions are getting introduced, and she gets to walk up the middle platform for the big reveal.
Yeah. So he's going to conquer the Earth realm. He hasn't really spelled out the plans quite yet, but he's apparently resurrected the Queen Sindel, who is Princess Katana's mother, and she's evil now, and she's going to play a key role in the invasion. It's never really spelled out what that key role is.
Everybody says her storyline is the key to this movie's plot resolution. Turns out it really doesn't matter. But
yeah.
But the argument is, and I think they're getting that from the backstory of Mortal Kombat 3, the game, because Shao Kahn lost, and in this movie he only lost the one tournament. In the games he had already lost the 2 tournaments. But by resurrecting Sindel, this is his loophole on being able to invade Earth anyway. So long as he's resurrected her and she's on his side, he can keep his portals to Earth's realm open indefinitely. And the heroes are trying to restore her soul to body, perhaps, find a way to bring her back to herself so that the portals are not open. Now, I don't know why that's important in the games. Does she has some tie to Earth's realm? It didn't sound like she had any in the previous movie, but in this case, that's what's being set up.
And it still makes no sense to me exactly what they're going for. I mean, I guess, does she make the portals? Like, are these different portals than the ones he used before?
It's some loophole the Elder Gods don't care about.
Well, anyways,
I guess.
Eventually the good guys are told that the key is to, again, win Queen Sindel back over to Princess Katana's heart. Katana must click her heels 3 times and give her a kiss in the forehead. Apparently that would, resurrect her. I guess that Shao Kahn put her in the pet cemetery. I'm not really sure. But she's a weird purple tint, that's for sure. And I think it's meant to be like death, but I don't think it comes across that way.
Does this movie tell us why she died originally? Because in the game, she committed suicide as the backstory originally.
Yeah, I don't think they would say that in a PG-13 movie.
Because in the previous movie, Katana said the Emperor, we're presuming this is Shao Kahn, killed my father and mother and adopted her so he could make a claim to the throne.
Yeah.
There's more to the story, apparently, than the first movie told us.
Yeah, but now we do get a lot of new characters getting revealed here. We have... See, how did I?
Hardly anybody gets named.
Well, we got Mataro, who I like to call
Mr. Ed.
Well, or Demonsaurus Rex, played by Malibu of the American Gladiators.
I think this was his best movie role.
I think it may have been his only movie role. You get a Red Zero, you get Grape Zero, you get Shia Bobo, also known as Shiva.
Run that back for me. Red Zero and...
Well, those were the notes I took, because I didn't remember any of these characters' names. Ermac is Red Zero, and Rain is Grape Zero.
Let me chime in right there. Mortal Kombat lost me when they kept cloning a couple... I guess there's 3 different character designs they just kept cloning. And the first one was the Sub-Zero Scorpion reptile, the ninja look.
Yeah.
And in Mortal Kombat 3, they introduced a cyborg. I'm not sure which was the original. Maybe Cyrax?
Cyrax, who I like to call him Do Zero, but yes, go ahead.
They had more colored clones, which really just looked like player 1, player 2 options in Street Fighter. More ninja clones, more cyborg clones, and then you had Katana cloned. Katana Melina, the female ninja, and then Jade could be arguably a variation on that. So this was Mortal Kombat 3's roster, and I just said, that doesn't look interesting at all.
Well, in their defense, the ninjas, they all have unique movesets, so that they do visually look about the same, but they don't act the same. They all have different special moves.
Okay.
So they do have that going for them. Smoke was cool, man. Smoke was cool.
Ryu and Ken had the same moves, but they looked very different, and they had a certain difference of emphasis that I say give me that over Red Zero, Purple Rain Zero.
Grape Zero.
Grape Zero. Great. There you go.
Yeah. See here if anybody else popped up here.
Well, you said Shiva. Is she related to Goro?
I don't know. I assume she's of the same race. Maybe not the same family.
I always thought she was supposed to be the daughter, but I guess I didn't read into it very closely.
She's Shia Bobo for my purposes.
All right.
Shao Kahn, I said he looks like He-Man's wearing a Halloween store Skeletor suit.
boy, it's bad. There are a few scenes where his mouth doesn't even move when he's supposed to be talking. They just dubbed over it.
Yeah, it's bad. I know I make this comparison too many times, but if the last movie had Crayola heroes, we got some Rose Art ones in this one.
Mm.
It's not that I dislike them as actors in general, but like the costumes are bad.
Oh, costumes are terrible in this one.
So we got a new Raiden, James Remar, whose teeth are not white or straight, and he
I
just
think so.
like I think he was trying to emulate Christopher's voice, but it just came across as the Native American in earnest. Forgot his name.
Well, goodness, Cody, Iron Eyes, Cody.
Yeah. I mean, it sounded like someone trying to do a Native American impression, and I don't think he was trying to though. So that was off. And then you got a new Sonya Blade, Sandra Hess, who actually probably is an upgrade in terms of what they're wanting from the character. I think she can actually fight or pretend to fight. And then Johnny Cage has been replaced by Chris Conrad.
Yeah.
Who is killed in the first 5 minutes of the movie. I don't even think he has dialogue. He takes his sunglasses off. I think that's it.
He doesn't even complain about those being $500 sunglasses, you dork, when Shao Kahn knocks him out of his... So he does a super move in this movie. What was it called? His, shadow kick, where he leaves the after image. He didn't get to do that in the last movie. At least they gave him that.
Now, they did give the characters their actual moves in this one, which is for better or for worse if you don't have the CGI or the practical effects to make it look good. But anyway, he sticks around for just a minute.
Are you okay in principle of killing off characters from the first movie if you're not going to do anything interesting with them?
Well, the actor did such a good job with Johnny Cage in the previous movie. If you don't have someone who can fill those shoes, I think you are better off getting rid of him.
Now, I have heard from just other people's internet videos that he was very much willing to come back for the second movie. He probably would have been paid more because of whatever his actor status is, and he was eligible for a bigger payday. But they handed him the script that apparently was the script that we got of him being killed off very early, and he didn't do the movie. So maybe they were just trying to strong arm him out of the movie so they didn't have to pay him. Now wasn't he dead in the third game?
He did die in
canonically.
The third game. In my opinion, it's appropriate that he dies. It's not a big deal to me, and I don't think that the actor, the guy who played him in this movie, Chris Conrad, he didn't strike me as having the charisma for the role.
Yeah. I feel like if you're going to kill him off, really kill him off. He snaps his neck, nothing spectacularly, and then a statue grows out of the ground and it sort of carries him on top of it, so he's some kind of a trophy, like his dead body is.
Well, they should have revisited him later because they didn't remove the body. He was buzzard food.
I was wondering about that by the end of this movie. We'll revisit that maybe once we get closer to closing time.
Yeah. Apparently, they did consider bringing him back as a Force ghost at the end. That would have been weird.
Okay, sure. Why not? Animality helps Liu Kang figure out his animality as the third test. That's what he could have done.
Test. We'll have to come back to that too.
Yeah.
So
the Nightwolf testing. You went to Nightwolf school.
There's only 3 characters who returned, or 3 actors who returned to reprise their characters, and it's Robin Shu as Liu Kang, Lisa Soto as Katana, and it was let me get this right. He played Reptile in the last movie and Sub-Zero in this movie. Keith Cook.
Oh, what's his name?
Keith Cook. He was a lifelong friend of Robin Shu.
So all he did was Sub-Zero, which is a very brief part in this movie. They do say he's the brother of the guy Liu Kang killed in the first movie, which, again, it is canon. I think eventually the game version of Sub-Zero turned into Scorpion. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, talk about power swap.
I don't know.
So, where are we at? So, Shao Kahn shows up, kills Cage, announces his plan is he's going to merge the 2 realms together. They have 6 days to stop it. And then, after they kill Cage, Raiden says, I think we need to go regroup. And they go to an underground tunnel. And they talk strategy.
And they get to ride giant bowling balls, gyroscopes.
Yeah. And they decide they need to get some allies. They're not really getting along, but basically they travel underground using pockets of hot air to propel these metal balls around, and they have to change lanes every once in a while.
Yeah, they got to lean in certain directions on the jumps. Good luck with that.
Yeah, so they're basically playing pinball and trying not to tilt the machine underground.
I think it's just an excuse to get Liu Kang and Katana, a little bodily contact between the two, because this movie doesn't go too much further than that.
No, well, I mean, Raiden was up there with Sonya too.
Sonya, yeah, they don't show them together, do they? In the ball.
I think they show him taking off. It's pretty limited.
Oh,
So Raiden's going to help
okay.
Sonya go find her partner Jax, and then after that, he's going to go meet with the Elder Gods. Katana and Liu go to search for a Native American named Nightwolf, who apparently knows how to defeat Khan. But they don't get very far because Scorpion shows up and kidnaps Katana.
Suckers!
Yeah, and that's where he meets up with New Blue Zero, and that didn't really go anywhere at that point. But a lot of things just kind of show up and then leave.
Who's the guy who fights before he meets Sub-Zero? Smoke? Something like that?
Well, maybe. It's one of those things where there's so many ninjas that in dark rooms, and you're trying to figure out which one is this one supposed to be. Is this Smoke? Is this Noob Saibot? And it gets a little confusing. But yeah, I think it was Smoke, because there was actually smoke in the scene. Yeah.
Got smoked. Got frozen. There was a bomb that Sub-Zero froze the bomb on him, and then Liu Kang kicked him off the cliff, and he blew up.
Yeah. This is horrible stuff. So then Sony finds Jax. I don't know if this is the right order or not. And he's put metal arms on himself like an idiot.
Was that an opportunity he took to make himself a partial cyborg?
Well, he's not really a cyborg because they're not his actual arms.
Yeah, they're removable. They just kind of, I don't know what you call them.
So, I don't know.
He augmented himself.
And I think, if I remember correctly, they fight Do-Zero, a.k.a. Cyrax, in that scene.
Oh, yeah.
And then once they finish that fight, I guess they take the tunnels off screen, and they're going up to see meet Raiden with the Elder Gods.
They're going to Petra in Jordan, something like that. When Raiden walks into the Elder God Temple, I think they're about to start a music video. He's got his hands lifted up. Looks like something's about to start playing.
So Raiden meets with the Elder Gods. He asks them why Khan was allowed to break the tournament rules.
Ooh. They give him 3 questions.
Yeah. Did you write them down?
You can ask 3 questions. The first one was...
Why was treachery allowed? Will you watch the Earth to be destroyed? And how can I be sure the portals will stay closed? And
fairly practical, I guess.
They kind of give them the runaround. Are they really eldering over anything?
They just kind of there.
And one of them seems to suggest that you have to reunite Katana with her mother. Another one seemed to possibly suggest you still have to take out Khan. And it's a lot of questions, not a lot of answers.
They ask Raiden if he's willing to give up his immortality for the humans.
Yes.
Pitiful human.
And then the next scene, we see his answer for that one. Ugh, they made him even worse.
He doesn't get the hat. They didn't give him his game costume either. That would have been nice.
Gave him a buzz cut.
Oh, yeah. It's a wonder he doesn't have a ponytail back there.
Yeah. So while that's going on, Liu finds Nightwolf.
In the Arizona desert.
And ultimately, he teaches him the power of the animality, which in the games is
the third game.
Shape-shifting into an animal part, when then you usually bite or eat the other person.
Completely optional. It's style points, however you want to finish your opponent.
Yeah. But to do that, Nightwolf says that Liu has to pass 3 tests. Now, we really only see 1 test for sure, probably 2. But yeah, the first is a trial of courage.
Throws an axe at him. Blade the stone and the arrow business here.
And once he passes the first test, the second comes in the form of temptation, which is Jade.
Who at least 2 other characters in this movie agree is a very hot lady.
Yes.
Raiden and Jax both point out her attractiveness.
And everyone else is also jealous on Katana's behalf. It seems to be every time they are introduced to her. Like, what happened to Katana? Oh, she got kidnapped. And you came back with her?
Well, sure.
And he almost allows the seduction to take place. But then he says, I can't do it. My heart is with another. Which never really got, played out. The Katana thing was alluded to more in the first movie than actually acted upon. Well,
they'd spent a little bit of time leaning their necks together in that bowling ball. So, that's pretty serious, in my opinion.
So, she offers to help him, and he accepts, and they leave. And we were never told about a third test.
They almost get to fight, though. That was kind of fun. She gives him a hard time saying, how are you going to beat Shao Kahn if you can't beat me by yourself?
But there's no third test.
That we know of.
Why wouldn't you redub that to be 2 tests? Or just take out the test and say, you have to learn how to do this. So then he wakes up to Jade.
The third test would have been learning the right input to trigger the move.
Okay. We do get a little glimpse of him discovering his animality at the end of the first test, we should say, too.
So let me say one thing. As much bad CGI is in this movie, I sort of like the Nightwolf animality. The two on-screen morphs, they kind of morph him Super Wolf into sort of a Wolfman, and then Wolfman into his regular self. And I thought that was okay for what was on screen. And as soon as he goes full human, in a inspired line of dialogue, he says, "Pretty cool, huh?" Yeah, I thought it
No,
was.
that probably was the best CGI in the movie. I should say, this movie, its dialogue is really bad.
Woo!
First off, it's not funny, but it's also just really simple. Like, these are not complex, zingers.
Well, just about everything Jack says in this movie is about online with that, except for the Mr. Ed crack near the end of the movie.
That is true. Tells you how great the quotes are. So if you search Mortal Kombat Annihilation quotes, these are the best quotes the AI brings up. This is from Katana. "Mother, you're alive." Sindel.
Yes.
Sindel. "Too bad you will die."
She really hangs on the "you" too. You will die.
Liu Kang. "Raiden, you cannot die." Raiden. "I am proud to die. Immortal."
Indeed.
Nightwolf. "Cool, huh? It's my animality."
Pretty cool. Animality.
Sonya Blade. "There's so little time left." Katana. "Whatever time we have, we must use well." Liu Kang. "If we die, we will die in battle. Together." So they all get together at the Elder God's temple. They're being chased by Shao Kahn's people. And here...
On horseback.
Yeah. And here we learn that Raiden has indeed sacrificed his immortality so he could fight with the humans. And
he doesn't do much. I'll tell you that much.
He gets a change of outfit, shorter haircut, just as silly looking of a face, and
has a harder time opening a portal.
Yes, and basically he's losing his powers, but apparently he had just enough left in the tank to get it open right before the Screecher takes them all out.
And they go to Outer Realm, right? Or Outrealm. That's where
Outworld,
they go through the portal. Outworld.
And the plot gets a little jumpy here. Liu goes to rescue Katana while the other ones go to try to take out Sindel. And we don't see Sindel taken out, but basically Jade says that she did it after Raiden left the room.
Didn't he get to fight Shao Kahn a little bit?
He fought somebody.
I thought it was Shao Kahn.
It may have been.
Hey, we never even mentioned Shao Kahn's daddy, who's introduced a lot earlier than you would think in a movie like this.
Oh, yeah. So Shao Kahn is working with his daddy, Shinnok. I think that's how you say it. And his daddy is an elder god who basically says, look, little Shao, you need to get this plan taken care of and get it done quick. Because we don't want to mess with Raiden, and the elder gods eventually aren't going to be happy with us. We need to close the deal.
He warns him about never underestimating the human spirit.
Yes, and that there'd be consequences for breaking the rules.
So what a huge villain downgrade of Shao Kahn from all he was built up to be in the first movie to how quickly he's introduced as just a pathetic lackey in this movie.
Pretty much.
I mean, with the video games, he got to be the main villain for 2 games, Mortal Kombat 2 and 3, and if I remember, the Shinnok character was introduced in one of the spin-off games of all things, a Sub-Zero spin-off platforming game that I never played, but I understand everybody thought was terrible.
I remember when it came out, I said, there's no way this can be good.
And that's where Shinnok came from, not Mortal Kombat 3 or 2. He got the short end of the stick on this. So you think about him being the Emperor, and he is referred to as the Emperor fairly early in this movie, but is he? I mean, what kind of emperor is taking all his orders from, this? What Shinnok's? He's just the elder god, so elder god trumps the emperor.
Well, he's also his father.
Yeah.
So you gotta listen to Dad.
Okay.
So anyways, Jade reveals that she's two-faced. She's a double agent.
Before we get there, can we talk about Liu Kang getting Katana out of the bird cage and who he has to fight?
Oh, goodness.
We skipped that. That is something.
Yeah, let's wrap up Jade first. So Jade's a double agent. Katana is unable to make her mommy like her again.
When Liu Kang says to Jade, "How could you betray us?" She says, "It was so easy." Liu Kang says, "You will die for this, Jade." And you think he's going to do something about it. But no, it's sort of like a prophecy almost. He's just predicting what will happen. And she sort of sneaks away in the background while they go through their whole, whatever the deal is with whatever happens after the Sindel bit.
And then Raiden reveals that Shao Kahn is his brother, and that the former elder god Shinnok is their father. It doesn't come across as big as it should.
So Raiden beat Shao Kahn long ago and was ordered to kill him, but he wouldn't do it because he just couldn't bring himself to kill blood, baby.
Yep, and he can't do it again. So I'm not even sure why he took the offer to go fight with the humans.
It puzzled. Well, I think theoretically, him becoming mortal means he has some ability in Outworld, whereas if he remains an elder god of Earth, because he didn't cross over at all in the last movie into the Outworld.
No.
Outer.
Well, I mean, he doesn't use any powers.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'm not sure what the difference would be.
Yeah.
But then, Shinnok and Raiden and Khan all have a family get together. Raiden refuses to bow down and restore the family, and he's killed by a green energy blast from Shao Kahn.
I think arguably he's killed more by the fall and the impact, that everybody stood around and watched him fall in slow motion and did nothing to try and catch him.
So, Katana. The rescuing of Katana took place during around all this same time going on. And she's in basically a birdcage looking thing hanging up in the sky.
It's very Princess Peach.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, it's very Princess Peach.
And how much do you think they spent on that Baraka mask?
I don't think there's ever any close-ups of Baraka in this movie, so they better not have spent a lot of budget money on what they had.
They looked like they were a $20 mask.
Liu Kang picks up some blades at one point, and he almost uses them on Baraka, but then he sort of uses the chain of the cage as a blocking.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and Liu Kang knocks him in the pit. I think they reuse a scene from earlier in the movie of a bad guy falling into the pit that is not Baraka. Yeah, again, you're throwing somebody in a pit, and you don't get to show us the full fatality of what happens when they hit the bottom. Is that just PG-13 deal?
Baraka's not human.
Come on.
They could show him dying.
They totally could. And the cyborgs and the, ninja robots or whatever. Ninja Turtle rules.
Yeah.
Man, what a missed opportunity.
That masterpiece of a scene wasn't quite finished yet as the Shia Bobo shows up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Shiva.
And
she walks under the cage.
She died quicker than Johnny Cage. They just dropped the cage on her.
Man.
She's squished like a Tweety bird.
And again, she's not human, but shouldn't we be able to see a little more of how she gets done in? Like, her various arms flailing from underneath the weight and then going limp.
You would think. So back in the big fight, they're having the final battle. You got Jax, you got Sonya, and you got Katana. They're going to take on Bataro, a.k.a. the Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed.
Katana is with her mother, and then Sonya is going against Ermac, or the other one, Red Zero, as you might say.
Leftovers. They never identify that character by name. Sonya calls him Leftovers, and I said that is perfect for this movie.
Yeah. And then Liu goes against Shao Kahn. And Khan's whipping his tail for quite a while. And then Liu pulls out his animality, which is a giant dragon.
Doesn't look good.
Khan pulls out his animality, which looks to be a sandworm of some sort with multiple heads.
Some kind of a Hydra, right? A Ghidorah? The movie briefly turns into Jason and the Argonauts, but everything Ray Harryhausen did looks better than what happens in this movie.
Yes. Something to be said for practical effects. And he doesn't really do too much damage to Khan, but he does expose a cut. And they're all confused. He's bleeding. How is this immortal being
like the Russian
bleeding? Yeah.
The Russian is cut.
Yeah. And then we figure out, or that we're told, that this was the consequence alluded to earlier of breaking the rules. He is now mortal. Now, if he had succeeded, I don't know if he would have gotten his immortality back. I feel like I would have wanted to know that.
So he complains to Daddy, and Shinnok is willing to step in and influence this fight, even as he says, "Do I have to do everything for you?"
Yeah. But then two of the Elder Gods show up, and they declare...
Finally, they do something.
Yeah. Well, they haven't known what's been going on for the whole movie.
They are credited as Elder God 1 and Elder God 2, if I recall.
And they declare that the fate of the Earth shall be decided in Mortal Kombat.
Dun, 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 dun.
And then Liu wins with a spinny kick.
That's okay. That's all right.
And then the Earth comes back to life, and the heroes are back at Liu's temple. Sounds like a bar name.
And it looks like nothing ever happened, because everybody's still in their ceremonial garb, just like they were at the start of the movie, or the end of the last movie.
And we see that Mommy Sindel is no longer a purple Smurf.
Well, that's convenient, isn't
Yeah,
it?
which makes me think the purple is meant to be like a dead body, a corpse effect, and not just a really bad makeup. But who knows? So we had a
Yeah.
mommy daughter reunion. The elder gods revive Raiden, and he becomes one of the elder gods to take the place of Shinnok.
Yeah, he gets to reign in Outworld now, right?
I think
Is that
that's right.
how the implication is?
I feel like that should be what it is.
Yeah.
So Katana kisses Liu, and then Raiden says, "You better play nice," and he leaves. End credits. No teaser.
Oh, yeah. Let me just say this. Raiden gets revived because it's fair. Sindel gets fully revived. I don't know why. Even though there was no moral turn in the movie. She's a good person now. Johnny Cage did what he was supposed to do under the rules of Mortal Kombat, but he was killed by a breaking of the rules. Why doesn't Johnny Cage at least get a consideration for revival here?
Like I said, I believe that they considered making a Force Ghost of Johnny Cage. I would have been only acceptable if he had his sunglasses on.
That could have been all right. The more I think about it. Oh well.
Yeah. Then that's it.
Oh.
Apparently there was an unused scene that they filmed at the end to allude to a third movie.
Oh, perished the thought. Annihilated. So that whole strategy, when you end a movie, especially the first movie of your franchise, and you decide to end it on a cliffhanger that doesn't necessarily need to be there, you just want to end it on something dramatic. It seems like you can trace all that back to the original Back to the Future 1985, and even the producers and directors of that movie said, we put that in there to make the ending more exciting, never with the idea of actually coming back and doing a sequel. And once they were so successful that they got a sequel, they realized we have written ourselves into a box. It's not how we would prefer to start a sequel with these particular characters doing this particular thing, but we've already set that up, and now we have to go through a lot of work to get the movie to the point where we actually want it. And that's what this movie did as well. They wrote themselves into a box, and the movie just has no time to warm up like the first one did.
No, I agree, and it's worse again because they didn't even attempt really to get all the actors to come back. You can't say it was a good attempt, at least. And then I still feel like it's a video game movie. You could ignore that and just 5 years later, we don't have to know how that little face-off ended.
That's fine, yeah. No, I'm perfectly okay with that. I guess The Incredibles 1 and 2 did the same thing. All those years in between.
Well, but they didn't introduce the Emperor. They introduced the Mole Man.
Yeah. It's okay when it's Mole Man. Not Well, I read somewhere when the director didn't return from the first movie, they took the director of photography, promoted him to director. He'd never been a director before. And then they decided to promote everybody else who was left up one position. So what's that called? The highest level of incompetence is when you promote people up one spot and you do it to everybody on the film.
The spirit of promoting from within is a good thing. But if you do that too many times, or if you don't ever get fresh ideas or fresh blood or fresh talent, it's like not everyone is good enough to keep moving up. So yeah,
and it's different work too. It just somebody might be really good at one job, and they're starting a new job for the first time, and that may not go too well.
Yeah. So this is a bad movie.
We should rank it on the dragon tattoos. Magical dragon tattoos, portal passes.
All right, Mr. Kind Person who never gives a movie a bad score, even if they hated it. What are you going with?
I watched it for the first time last week in several years. And I remember thinking, for most of that movie, this is not as bad as I remembered it. That changed when we got to the final scene with all the animalities coming out and all that. So I decided I'm going to watch this thing a second time. And I just thought it got progressively worse in my mind when I thought about all that. Why'd they do that? Why'd they say this here? I'm giving this beast a single dragon tattoo. I'm not sure why am I even giving it one. I guess they brought Robin Shou at probably just past the peak of his Hollywood career, and they gave us a few scenes with him doing stuff, but none of it even looks as good as anything he did in the first movie. I'm not even sure why I'm giving it one Dragon Star tattoo, other than I guess there's an entertainment factor. You just never know what to expect next about when characters come and go without explanation. Maybe that's why I'm giving it one. Boy, the dialogue, I don't even find it entertaining. I'm not sure any actor does anything to elevate this movie. goodness, the guy who plays Shao Kahn, what's his name? Brian
Oh,
something?
goodness. Yeah, Brian Thompson.
He strikes me as a villain that you would see in one of the Universal Mummy movies, or I dare say the Scorpion King movies and their direct-to-video spin-offs. He has that kind of quality. Boy, his face just looks like an idiot. When the first time I saw him where he doesn't have the mask on, I saw as a new character. I said, why'd they take Shao Kahn? Why wouldn't they at least show him taking the mask off? He almost has that Vin Diesel look in the first scene, and you're thinking, if he's the big bad, it might be okay. And then he immediately gets talked down by his daddy, who is not any cooler, I might add. He comes across as a larger screen presence because I think the Shinnok actor is taller, and so he just comes across as more imposing than Shao Kahn. Man, I don't even know how I'm giving this thing one dragon tattoo.
I will say, I think the best thing about this movie is the chemistry between Liu Kang, Katana, and the new Sonya Blade.
I don't know about that.
Not the other characters.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying those three. Well, two of them were together in the last movie, so that's fine.
It's not much, though. It's like,
well, it's the only nice thing I have to say about this movie, and it's like not a great thing, just a nice thing.
We didn't mention it. Sonya gets to fight Melina in this movie, and they do absolutely nothing with that fight, as opposed to what it could have been.
Yeah, was that the mud scene? The mud pit?
Yeah, they're playing in the mud, and Jax is watching.
Apparently, it was freezing cold where they were filming that. That was mentioned on the panel discussion, and that was her least favorite fight scene in the movie. Probably for multiple reasons. I also noticed she got her clothes very clean after that scene.
Yes, because you can't have the main actress covered in mud through the whole movie.
She makes a throwaway line, "I need to go find a river," and the next you see is like she apparently had a Tide Pod with her too. But
yeah,
so I'm gonna give this movie one tattoo, and it's in the tramp stamp position. It is not a good. This is not a good movie.
Oh boy, this they killed this franchise so quick with this sequel.
Yeah, it would take 20 years to get another one, a real one at least. Lots of cartoons, but
there are sequels that are not as well received. I'd say most sequels are not as well received as the original movie, but it's hard to get such a downgrade between a 1 and a 2.
No, you would expect this to be the third movie in the trilogy. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, this would be the Ninja Turtles 3 equivalent, but this is worse than Ninja Turtles 3 by a large degree. So are we gonna rank our video game preference movies in this too? I'm just wondering where you were tracking at the moment on your tier list, going all the way back to the Wizard.
I don't know if that one counts, but okay.
We did Wizard, Mario, Street Fighter, Double Dragon, and both of the Mortal Kombats.
All right. So I'm going to say Mortal Kombat 1, Street Fighter 2.
Appropriate.
I might go Super Mario 3 or Wizard.
Ooh.
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Wizard is just not exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm leaving out the Wizard. I'm leaving
all
out.
Right.
I can't compare it. I'm going to go Super Mario 3, Double Dragon 4, this 5.
So I'd start at the bottom with this movie, and just above that is Super Mario Bros. And, wait. Yeah, the Mortal Kombat at the bottom, Super Mario Bros. Double Dragon above that, starting to get complicated. I would put the Wizard right up next, and then the original Mortal Kombat, and just because I love it so much, Street Fighter the movie, at top of my list.
All right. I think Street Fighter, if they had figured out a way to work the powers into the game, I would appreciate more. Or don't forget how bad Blanca is.
I am one who argues Mortal Kombat is the better movie and is the better adaptation, but I enjoy Street Fighter more. So that's an independent perspective on it.
We're pretty much in agreement then. I mean, and I will say, I don't think there's a big gap between Super Mario Brothers and Double Dragon.
No, but
they're pretty comparable.
One is more offensive, though, I think, just as much as they could have done with Mario, and they didn't.
Sounds good. All right, well, we are in agreement that Mortal Kombat Annihilation is a tramp stamp, and we hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful week. See y'all next week. Bye-bye.
See you, Johnny, riding on top of that statue.